It started at my sister Kayla's brand launch party. Dozens of people milled around my parents' backyard. Center stage was a pearl white Range Rover Evoque with a giant red bow on the hood. My father David raised his champagne glass. To Kayla, he announced, she always had the vision. While some people play it safe, he glanced pointedly at me. She built a brand all on her own. A true self-made entrepreneur. Everyone clapped. Kayla beamed, filming herself for social media. I kept my face neutral. I waited for the applause to die down. I agree, I said, my voice just loud enough to carry. It's a fantastic investment. My father chuckled. See, Jacob, you should take notes. I continued keeping my tone, even it's a fantastic investment for my $30,000. Silence fell over the party. Even the background music seemed to fade. My father frowned. What nonsense are you talking about? I'm saying, I repeated calmly, letting the words hang in the air for a moment, I assume Kayla won't be needing the $2,500 I've been sending her monthly for operating costs, the payments for the past 12 months. I just needed confirmation so I can stop the automatic transfer. Kayla froze. Her phone slipped from her hand. My mother Karen dropped a tray of appetizers. Let me back up. My name is Jacob. I'm 29, a back-end developer. My world runs on logic. Systems. Clean code, and predictable outcomes. I'm what they call the quiet strategist in my family, mostly because everyone else runs on feelings. My father David, he's an old school salesman, respects flash, not substance. Always has. My younger sister Kayla, she's 26, she's the star. The one with the vision. She runs an influencer brand, calls it Kayla Vibe Creative, 50,000 followers, 0 actual paying clients. This whole mess started about 12 months ago. Kayla came to me, tears in her eyes. Said she needed seed money, just startup costs, you know. Software, subscriptions, studio rental fees, maybe a few networking trips. She swore she'd pay me back tenfold once her brand took off. I knew it was a bad idea. My gut screamed it. But then my mother Karen called me. That quiet, guilt-tripping tone she uses. Just help your sister Jacob. She has these big dreams. You have such a stable job. The implication was clear. My stability was meant to fund her instability. So I caved. Like always, I set up an automatic bank transfer, $2,500. Every month, on the first, I told myself it was a loan. Deep down, I knew it was just the success tax I paid for being the responsible one. The next 12 months were predictable. I'd see Kayla's posts. Networking in Bali. Expensive new PR kits, brand new camera equipment for the business. Meanwhile, my father kept asking me when I was going to stop playing with computers and do something real with my life. He'd clap me on the back, tell me I should be more like Kayla, taking risks, building something. Then, about a month ago, the text arrived. Group chat. Huge news, Kayla Vibe Creative Brand launch party, celebrating something big I wasn't planning on going, but curiosity got the better of me. What exactly counted as big news in Kayla's world? I showed up at my parents' place, walked into the backyard, and there it was. Parked on the lawn, gleaming under the party lights, a brand new Range Rover Evoque. That's when I knew exactly where my $30,000 had gone, and that's when my father started his toast. We cut back to the party right after I dropped the $30,000 bomb. The air crackled. Kayla stammered, her face going pale, then red. You're lying. You're just jealous because I'm finally successful. Successful. That's when my Aunt Susan chimed in. She's the only other person in the family with a head for numbers. Successful Kayla. Didn't you tell your Uncle Robert you just landed a huge client? Kayla opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I'm not lying, I said, my voice steady. I pulled out my phone. I'm a developer. I keep records, meticulous records. I opened my banking app. Let's see, 12 transfers. $2,500 each. I started reading them out loud, clear and distinct. March 1st, April 1st, May 1st, June 1st. With each date, the murmuring among Kayla's influencer friends grew louder. Her so-called business partners started discreetly edging away from her towards the exits. My father David finally strode forward, his face flushed with anger. "Put that phone away, Jacob! You're embarrassing this family!" I looked him straight in the eye. This is where Module 4 fits. See, my father wasn't angry because I was wrong. He was furious because I was right. I wasn't just exposing Kayla, I was shattering the comfortable story he'd built around her success. The story he needed to believe because admitting the truth meant admitting his own judgment was flawed. Families like ours often prefer the comforting narrative over the hard facts. No, I said, lowering my phone slightly but not putting it away. I funded this embarrassment for the past 12 months. I'm done. I turned back to Kayla. Congratulations on the car. You owe me $30,000. That's when she snapped. Kayla screamed something incoherent about ruining her life. She threw her champagne glass. It missed me, shattering against the patio stones. Then she turned and ran back into the house sobbing. My father glared at me, his eyes promising retribution. Get out of my house. Gladly, I replied. I didn't wait. I walked straight out past the stunned guests, past the ridiculous Range Rover with its stupid bow, and as I reached the end of the driveway, I took out my phone again, found the recurring payment to Kayla Vibe Creative, canceled it. Effective immediately. 2 weeks passed. Silence. I blocked Kayla's number. I blocked my father's too. In chess, sometimes the best move is to let your opponent unravel on their own. I waited. Then the first call came. It was my mother, Karen, using a number I didn't recognize. Her voice was thin, strained. Jacob, please. Kayla, the landlord, gave her an eviction notice. She has 3 days to pay or she's out on the street. I kept my voice level. Cold maybe, but necessary. That sounds like a problem for Kayla, Mom. Or for Dad, not me. She started to cry. But Jacob, she has nowhere to go. Your father, he's barely speaking to her. Consequences, Mom, I said. She made her choices. Now she deals with the results. I hung up before she could argue further. Setting boundaries feels harsh the first time, but it gets easier, especially when you remember the cost of not having them. Another week went by. Then another call from Mom. This time she sounded genuinely panicked. Not just upset, but scared. The bank, Jacob. Oh my God, the bank called your father. I frowned. The bank? About what? The Range Rover, she whispered. Kayla missed the first payment, then the second. They sent letters. She ignored them. Now they're talking about repossession. A cold knot formed in my stomach, but not for Kayla. Okay, I said slowly. That's her problem. Why are they calling Dad? The car's in her name, isn't it? There was a long pause on the line. Just the sound of my mother breathing raggedly. Then she choked out the words. No, Jacob. It's not just in her name. She took a shaky breath. Your father, he didn't tell me. He co-signed the loan for her. All $45,000 of it. Silence. Complete, deafening silence. The twist I hadn't seen coming. My father hadn't just enabled her delusions with praise, he had financially guaranteed them with his own credit. He hadn't just invested his pride, he'd bet his financial future on Kayla Vibe Creative. Poetic justice indeed. So I finally said the pieces, clicking into place with chilling clarity. Dad invested in her vision. Now he gets to experience the return. My mother started pleading then about family, about helping out, about what people would think. I cut her off. I told you, Mom, I'm done funding this. And it sounds like Dad made his own investment. He needs to manage his portfolio. I ended the call. A week later, Aunt Susan sent me a photo. No caption needed. It was a picture taken from her front window looking across the street at my parents' house. A big yellow tow truck was parked in their driveway, hooking up the pearl white Range Rover Evoque. Right there, middle of the day, for all the neighbors to see. The text that followed was simple. David's credit score took a nosedive. The full $45,000 loan defaulted straight onto him. He looks like he's aged 10 years. Kayla's dream ride was gone, but the real price wasn't paid by her, it was paid by the man who believed the hype. The true cost of enabling delusion, it was just starting. Eventually, she showed up at my apartment. Not the glamorous Kayla Vibe Creative founder, just Kayla. No makeup, hair a mess, eyes hollow. She looked like a ghost of the person who'd posed next to that Range Rover. She had hit rock bottom. I have nothing, she whispered, leaning against the doorframe. Dad. He won't even look at me. I didn't invite her in further than the entryway. I just nodded. Correct. She looked down at her worn-out sneakers. I'll do anything, Jacob. Please. No, I said, my voice flat, devoid of sympathy. This wasn't about punishment anymore. It was about consequences. You won't do anything. You'll do work. I didn't offer her coffee. I didn't offer her a seat on the couch. I opened my laptop on the kitchen counter, pulled up a spreadsheet I'd prepared. It wasn't a bailout plan, it was a bill. This, I said, turning the screen towards her, is your $75,000 repayment plan. I pointed to the cells. $45,000 for the car loan Dad co-signed and defaulted on. $30,000 for the seed money you took from me, the total glowed at the bottom. $75,000, welcome to the real world, Kayla. She just stared at it, silent tears finally tracking paths through the grime on her face. Then she crumpled, sliding down the doorframe to sit on the floor, her head in her hands. I didn't console her. I picked up my phone. First, I called Aunt Susan, explained the situation. Bluntly, she needs work, any work. Aunt Susan hesitated, then sighed. Night shift, warehouse, scanning barcodes, $18 an hour. It's all I have. She'll take it, I said. Then I called a friend who owned a small chain of coffee shops. Need a dishwasher. Morning shift, reliable, no. Desperate, yes. He agreed to give her a trial run. I looked down at Kayla, still huddled on the floor. You start Monday. Warehouse at night, coffee shop in the morning, figure out the commute, figure out where you'll live, figure out how to eat. The next 4 months were, by all accounts, hell for her. 16-hour workdays, sleeping a few hours in a rundown, shared apartment she found on Craigslist. Commuting by bus, no more avocado toast brunches or Bali networking trips, just the relentless grind of minimum wage labor. She texted me once around 3 a.m. from the warehouse loading dock, just a picture of her steel-toed boots covered in grime. The caption read, "I hate you." My reply was immediate. Good, keep going. Then, about 2 months into the grind, something shifted. A small deposit appeared in my account, $400. The memo simply said, "For Dad's loan." It wasn't much against $75,000, but it was a start. It was accountability. The real twist, though, came 2 months after that. Aunt Susan called me. Her voice wasn't annoyed or pitying, it was surprised. Genuinely surprised. "Jacob," she said, "you won't believe this." She told me Kayla had noticed inefficiencies in their warehouse barcode scanning system. Apparently, watching me work over the years, something had stuck. On her own time during breaks, Kayla had taught herself some basic scripting. She wrote a few simple macros to automate parts of her own inventory check process, just for herself to make her grueling shift slightly less awful. She didn't tell anyone, Aunt Susan continued, but her numbers started looking way better than everyone else's. Faster scans, fewer errors. We investigated, found her little scripts. "Jacob, this kid," she inadvertently fixed a bug that's been costing us thousands in missed shipments. I didn't know what to say. Removing her off the floor, Aunt Susan finished, putting her in the office, data coordinator assistant. It's still entry level, but she earned it. Kayla, my influencer sister, hadn't just survived rock bottom, she'd started building a ladder out of it, using actual skills, not just pretending to have them. Maybe, just maybe, this was working. Fast forward 1 year, Kayla had paid back almost half the total debt, not just to me, but to my father, covering the defaulted loan payments diligently. She was still at the warehouse, but now as a data coordinator. Full-time, benefits. She looked tired, yes, but different, grounded. We had the first Sunday dinner together since the party. The air was thick with unspoken things. My father, David, looked older. The financial hit from the co-signed loan had forced him to sell his beloved boat. He barely said 2 words throughout the meal. Then, as dinner wound down, Kayla put her fork down. Her voice was quiet but steady, different from the performative confidence she used to project. "I owe everyone here an apology," she began. "I was a fraud. I manipulated Jacob's kindness and took advantage of Dad's blind faith." She turned to me. "Jacob," she said, meeting my eyes directly for the first time in maybe forever, "you saved my life, not by bailing me out, but by refusing to. You were the only one who didn't buy my act." A small pause. "Thank you for letting me fail." This is where the real lesson landed. The cost of the safety net. My parents, in their effort to support her, had actually stolen something vital from Kayla, the consequences she needed to grow. They'd built a safety net so comfortable she never felt the need to learn how to fly or even walk on her own. My pulling that net away wasn't cruelty. It was the only real gift I could give her, the harsh, necessary impact with reality. Because sometimes the only way people learn to stand is when they're forced to pick themselves up off the ground. Then Kayla turned to my father. And Dad, she said, her voice gentle but firm, you were wrong about Jacob. He isn't playing it safe. He's the anchor. He's the only one in this family who actually built everything himself quietly without needing applause. She took a breath. I was just pretending. Now I'm trying to actually be like him. The room was utterly still. My father looked at me. Really looked at me. The usual bluster, the salesman's arrogance was gone, replaced by something quiet, regretful. He gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. She's right, he said, his voice raspy. He stood up, slowly walked over to my side of the table, put a hand hesitantly on my shoulder. Jacob, I'm sorry. You're a better man than I am. 29 years. That's how long I'd waited to hear something like that. Not the praise for fake success, but the acknowledgement of quiet strength. Last week, I got an email from Kayla. Subject repayment plan update. Attached was an Excel spreadsheet, meticulously detailed, projecting the payoff for the remaining $45,000. The final cell read, completion 24 months. Below the chart, just one line, thank you, big brother. It wasn't just about the money anymore, it was about the accounting, the real kind. My family always confused support with enabling. Real support isn't shielding someone from failure. It's handing them the blueprint to clean up their own mess. Accountability isn't punishment. It's the price of admission to adulthood. Have you ever had to cut someone's safety net knowing it was the only way they might learn to stand on their own? Or maybe you recognize yourself as the quiet ATM, the one always expected to foot the bill for other mistakes. Let us know your story in the comments below. This is Channel 3 Revenge Group. We believe in smart justice and clear boundaries. If you do too, hit that subscribe button and join the rest of the strategists. We'll see you in the next one.